Hey guys, this is James from TeaDB bringing you another Inbetweenisode. So today I am going to be doing another screen capture Inbetweenisode. We've had a couple requests to talk about some of the different Pu'er regions, and so I'm going to do that. So we will I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Alright guys, so as you can see, we are looking at my computer screen right now. And so this is sort of an unfortunate circumstance where, well, I guess it's fortunate or unfortunate. I've written a number of articles on this, as I was just talking about, but I wanted to do a little bit more, just touch up and research. So I Googled Pu'er regions before this, and of course the TeaDB article popped up. I was looking over some of the former sources, and unfortunately, some of these maps, which I used extensively, are just no longer working. As you can see, 404 not found, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So I'm going to be referencing, I guess, some of the articles that were previously written. So first things first, Pu'er is a geographically specific product, sort of like Darjeeling is grown in Darjeeling. So that's important to know. Technically, you cannot have Pu'er that's grown outside of Pu'er, even if it's processed the same. So some of the neighboring areas, like Tibet or Laos or Vietnam, will make teas in the Pu'er style, but it's not technically Pu'er. We're not going to get too far into that point because I think we want to focus really on the major regions. And so in Yunnan, there are three big regions that are really notable. There's Pu'er grown outside of these regions, of course, but the ones that you're going to hear referenced the most often are these three prefectures right here that we're looking at. There is Xishuangbanna, Pu'er, Samao. So this was called Samao until I think 2006, 2007, when it changed its name confusingly to be the Pu'er Prefecture. There is some historical context to that name switch, but we're not going to cover that here. And then up north, and you'll often hear tea from here, and occasionally from Samao, referred to as northern tea, we have Lincang. And so those are the three big regions of Pu'er. So as you guys know, the person that has waged the largest war against sort of regional markings of Pu'er is Waititi. But he even has a taster set where they cover these big regions. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that these are the big regions, and they are large, and they contain many of the smaller regions that you'll often hear mentioned from a lot of different vendors and about a lot of different teas. Alright, so from there, let's go down to the southernmost region, Xishuangbanna. So I think most people would agree that Xishuangbanna is the most important region in terms of Pu'er. And from sort of a historical context. That doesn't mean you can't have good tea outside of that region. It just means that there's a lot of old trees and a lot of good material down here. Okay, so within Xishuangbanna, let's see, there is to the east, you could see here is Menghai County. In the middle there's Jinghang, and then there's Menghai. Okay, so starting from here, Menghai is often used somewhat synonymously with sort of like the greater Yiwu area. And so this is sort of like eastern Xishuangbanna, and over here you have Laos. So there is tea grown in Laos as well, and there's a lot of tea grown in Menghai County. And so Menghai contains 5 of the 6 famous tea mountains. It contains Yiwu, Manjuan, Yibang, Gedang, and Mangzhe. Excuse my pronunciations. So those are all within Menghai County. It has a very long history of growing Pu'er, especially from the Haoji era, which is the era that was the pre-People's Republic of China. so pre-World War II. So some of those really, really old teas, such as like 100-year-old Songpin, Tongqinghao, Fuyuanchang, those all supposedly came from sort of like this 6 famous tea mountains area. And so it doesn't really have strong associations with any huge tea factory per se, but it's sort of known to be a little bit more boutique-y. It has closer associations with some of the Taiwanese producers. Keep in mind that these are big generalizations. There is a lot of different tea that's grown in Menghai County. So, for instance, Yongqinghao, a lot of their mid-2000s productions were grown in the greater Yiwu area in Menghai County. So here's a kind of a closer breakdown. You can see here are the famous tea mountains. There are 5 over here. And you can see that the 6th famous tea mountain, Yola, is just located just outside of Menghai County. So Yola would be over here. And so it's really close to those teas, and it does have some similarities. And it's the only significant growing region within Jinghang. All right. And so that's sort of what it looks like. So there's been a lot of sort of like smaller scale productions that have happened there. Here's another breakdown of it. And so some of the other places that you'll hear in sort of like the greater Yiwu area are places like Guofengjai, Chawangshu, which is a sub-area of Guofengjai, Wangongjai, Ishanmo. And so some of the areas that have had some acclaim are located at the far east end of Menghai County, almost just right along that Laotian border. So that has some of the noted regions there. It's important to note that especially when it comes to looking at some of these places that are really not big, which includes those places I just listed, like Chawangshu, the production size is going to be very small, and you should take the region with a larger grain of salt than you would something like Menghai County or Xishuangbanna, because those areas are so specific, and because there is a lot of fraudulent tea in the sense that tea could be smuggled in from a neighboring village where maybe the price tag isn't quite so high. So if you're trying to really learn, I wouldn't think too hard about some of those specific regions because you could have a lot of variance in just sort of how it was produced, how it was processed, etc., etc. When it was harvested, was it harvested on a rainy day? So are so many different variations that can come beyond just the specific village. Okay. All right, so that is Menghai County. And so we can see we will be going over now Menghai County. So here are again our counties in Xishuangbanna. Yola was the only significant growing region in Jinghang, and then we have Menghai over here. So this is also a very, very important growing area, and there's a lot of different areas and variations within Menghai County, and this area actually has more of the associations with sort of like the immediately after the People's Republic of China was established. That's when Menghai Tea Factory, which would later be known as Dai, was established. And it was established in Menghai County, of course. So that would be here. And a lot of the tea from these areas would go into those productions. So famously, it's produced a lot of famous tea, such as the 1950s Red Mark, 1970s Yellow Mark, the 88 Qingbing, most likely all have a lot of Menghai County, if not exclusively Menghai County material here. So I don't know if you guys can quite see this map, but here is the breakdown of the western Xishuangbanna, aka Menghai County. You can see a lot of familiar names here. We have Bulong down over here, Bada way over to the west side, and as we get north we have Mongsong and Manul, and Nanu, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of as well. So this area is known to have a little bit stronger tea. It also has more close associations with big factory tea and ripe pu'er. Part of those associations are because Menghai tea factory has been located here and is one of the largest producers, if not the largest producer, I believe, of ripe pu'er, and sources a lot of their tea from that area. So it unlike Menghai County, this has more associations with ripe pu'er and with Dai. Bulong is a big mountain, so you can see it here. Within Bulong, there are many different famous sub-areas. Lao Banjong and the Banjong area is located on Bulong. There's also the Manis. Lao Mani is located there as well. So those are some of the important areas that are located over there. In general, I think people would say that, especially in the southern Bulong area, teas tend to have a stronger taste, more bitterness, a little bit more upfront. These teas, similar to these teas, have a strong track record of aging well, and part of that, I think, is because they are so strong. And so few less associations with sort of boutique-y type stuff that the eastern area has, but an equally or a very important region as well. So quickly to touch base with the northern areas, we have Pu'er Prefecture, which is really quite a large area itself. You can see sort of the county breakdown here. The couple of the areas very close to Xishuangbanna are down over here and are some of the more important areas for here for the Simao Prefecture. It's Jingmai and Bangwei are both located within that same sort of mountain range. We also have Jiangchen over to the east. You can see that this is going to be directly north of Yiwu, so that's been used and marketed as Yiwu tea in the past as well. And we also have the Wuliangs. Sorry for the excessive scrolling. Wuliangs are in sort of like this range over here. Jingwu tea, you can see Jingwu right there. So a lot of different names that you might show up. You also notice that a place like Yunnan sources a lot of their tea from Jingwu, Wuliang, so from these areas. And so that's important to note as well. Again, a pretty big producing area as well. I think a factory like Shaguan probably has sourced a number of their materials from here. And up north we have Lincang, which you can see is way up north up here. This has some factories, like there's the Menghu tea factory, which is a area in Lincang, as well as the factory name. So confusingly, there's a couple of factories named Menghu. This is also has some of the newer school famous regions, such as Bingdao and Shigui, both of which get a very high price tag. There are some old trees up here as well. Bongdong is located in Lincang as well. Again, take some of these smaller areas, and by that I mean specifically Bingdao and Shigui, with a grain of salt, as the production of the old trees there is just frankly not very much. So you need to take that into consideration before you are buying your $20 per cake Bingdao. Yongda is also over here. Confusingly, there are two different big snow mountains here. There's a Menghu one and a Yongda one. So a lot of different sub areas and regions up here. Yunnan sourcing, and I think white tea, crimson lotus tea, all source a lot of teas from up here as well. Xishuangbanna in general tends to demand the higher prices than these other areas. Of course, there are big exceptions, and there can be some very expensive teas that come from these northern areas as well. And yeah, that just about, I think, wraps up this sort of regional breakdown of tea. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it or learned something here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what else you would like me to cover, and cheers.